Welcome to episode 245 of the Working Fans Podcast. It is myself, it is the man called Dave, and it is Game Up Hard Hydration.
If you haven't tried Game Up, then you are missing out. Imagine your favorite seltzer and your favorite sports drink had a baby, but it's way better than that. Each can is 110 calories, low carb, 4.9 ABV. It's a nice light drink that is not light on flavor. Game Up comes in fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. Pick it up at drinkgameup.com or at your nearest liquor store.
Couldn't have said it better myself, and we have a lot to talk about this week. But Dave, we're going to return to something we've been enjoying watching all year. Dark Side of the Ring. This week it was Chris Adams. We haven't talked about it yet. We've barely talked at all, even though we ran a little late from talking. What did you think of this episode?
I've seen a lot of stuff about Chris Adams before in this story. So I didn't feel like there was a lot of stuff from me as a fan that I was like, oh, wow, that happened. You know, like I knew about his ex-wife, Jeannie, and she'd eventually date Steve Austin. And, he kind of arranged that storyline early on. I knew about the Rod Price incident, former guest of the show. Check that out. Where he pulled out his hairpiece. I even remember hearing about how he died attacking his friend after he got extremely drunk and, drugged up and violent. And I've heard this guy talk before, too. I'm blanking out on his friend's name. Booley? Boo-Ray. Thank you. Yeah. And I just always thought...
any good man using a nickname to identify yourself.
Well, it's funny because every time I hear this guy, I always kind of believe his story because I'm like, this guy sounds simple. No offense to him. I'm just like, I don't think this man is lying. Like, I don't think this guy, knows what he's doing,
Yeah, and I mean, given everything we've heard about Chris Adams, the stories line up. I didn't know a lot of it. Speaking of former guests of the show, James Beard appeared in this. It's always great to see him on there. I really think this was another good episode. For people that don't know the story, I think they'll be blown away. I knew parts of the story, so I was somewhat interested, but I mean, they really keep moving along. I think it's been a great season. I don't know if it's been one of the best, but it's been good, and it's going to get even better next week because you've got the Sherry Martel episode, so I'm really looking forward to that. Speaking of women's wrestling, Raw kicked off in a major way this week. Rhea Ripley forced to relinquish the title. Did you hear about this going in? Because I started getting messages near the close of work on Monday saying how people were heartbroken that Rhea had to give up the title, and that took me by surprise.
AJ sent me a text earlier today that it was rumored that she might be injured and possibly have to forfeit the title. And I remember thinking that chair shot the week before where Liv threw it at her. I thought, wow, that looks stiff. I remember watching it. I thought it hit her in the head real hard too. Obviously she had the arm wrapped up as we saw and everything.
I thought I saw that she got whipped into the wall backstage, and that's where it could have happened.
Oh, maybe. I just know that that chair Liv had thrown like a week before looked really wild. And so I just saw that she might, have to do it. And then, she opened up the show and she had the arm in the sling, obviously. And we saw where it went. And it's just interesting in the sense that she's been a heel, but she's still getting a lot of babyface reaction. And I feel like this is just going to make her even a bigger babyface when she gets back. I feel like we've turned Liv Morgan heel now. And there'll be a lot of interesting storylines and stuff that comes out of this. It does suck, though, in the sense that this was another person, Gunther, Roman, and so on, where they just really did a good job of building Ripley up. They've really done a good job of building this reign up, and we were really setting up something big here. And Jess in the comments, she had mentioned this week on one of the videos I posted on TikTok that she was really upset about this, and she really wanted to see her versus Jade. And I felt like that was the ultimate super fight we were setting up. Like, like Ripley gets dominant for a year, Jade stays undefeated and dominant, and you could have like a night one WrestleMania main event with the ladies again here, because I feel like they've done such a good job of building up Rhea. But real unfortunate timing. I still think, remember, like the Cody Rhodes injury, when he came back, he fit right into that Royal Rumble slot, and it ended up actually working out well. Could be a similar thing here. You never know, but it is a bummer for now.
100%. I have to ask, is this a legitimate injury or is this something concocted to, give us a championship on the last Raw before the draft to drum up interest?
I don't think so. I mean, just because she's been built up so well that I just think, it just, to me, now we do have new ideas and there's a new administration in there. We know it's a Paul Levesque era. So they're constantly coming up with different things. So never rule anything out in pro wrestling. But to me, no. To me, it definitely makes sense that, this was a legit injury. So
100%. And I'll tell you what was definitely legitimate was the heel turn that we saw after the match between Chad Gable, Sami Zayn. We haven't talked about this match. I love this whole thing. Sammy's coming through the front door, coming down the ramp, just getting that whole shot of the arena, how great the match was. And then after the match, the attack.
Yeah.
I thought it was done well, really setting up Chad Gable. What were your thoughts about it? And then there's something else about Gable going forward that I would like to talk about.
Okay, so as far as the match it goes, great reception by Sami in his hometown. His wife does a great job of like wearing the emotion on her face too. I feel like she's a great, almost like partner for him in these situations. She really kind of adds to the match. Chad and Sami had a hell of a match. That's no surprise. They're both great wrestlers. And Chad going heel, I think, is amazing because at the end of the day, Chad Gable, he can, I've been saying this for a while. He's like Kurt Angle. He's a modern Kurt Angle. He can either be a badass heel, he can be a funny, goofy baby face, or he can be that underdog baby face. It was something Kurt really wasn't going to be able to do, actually, by the way. So another step for Chad, because I mean, we all knew Kurt would just snap your ankle. But at the end of the day, Chad Gable has so much upside. And I know you want to talk about, let's take his comment here. He said he needs to get rid of those clowns and replace them with Diamond Mine by a very special friend of ours, Kayfabe brother, that name. But, I just think afterwards, after Sami was so nice to him, yeah. I mean, and to get suplex right in front of your wife too, that's brutal. But I just think that Gable, you could go a lot of different directions with him. He could be a bad guy entourage with Otis and Tozawa, and you could actually turn all those people into really rough badasses, or you could do something with the Diamond Mine and the Creeds. Either way, I think this is going to be more successful for Gable, and it really shows how he's viewed by the company now, as opposed to when Vince was in there and he had that run with Shorty G.
Yeah, how far has he come? I really hope they put him together with the Creed brothers. We saw them working out before the match. I think that could be a very interesting stable going forward. Raw really has come around as a big show, and another big show before we get to the two big pay-per-views this weekend. I would argue maybe the biggest pay-per-view is happening down in Florida. Walton County Fairgrounds, Bound and Determined. Dave, so many matches coming up. You've got Pendragon versus Xavier in a Dungeons and Death match. You've got Exodus trying to get back those tag team titles from the Reckoning. Preston Veston and Ryan Holland. They've been having some trouble staying on the same page. What's going to happen there? You've got Raven Knight going up against Emily Locke for that women's championship. Kelly Clark has the Pride Championship in an open challenge. Gutter and Bodie O'Hare for that Anytime Anywhere Championship. And former guest of the show, the Cali Man, is going back for that heavyweight championship against Suicidal Soldier. Now that I've gassed myself out talking about New Heights Wrestling, search NHW Pro on Twitter, New Heights Wrestling on YouTube if you want to hear myself and the man called Dave call some great action. But now we are going to predict some great action. AEW Dynasty is this weekend. I'm starting with this one because there are 2 pay-per-views this weekend, and I am going to argue that TNA Rebellion has a better card. But let's start with Dynasty.
Okay.
From the bottom to the top, Acclaimed and Daddy Ass versus Bullet Club Gold, 6-man championships. I haven't paid close enough attention. I assume they're merging these belts. Who do you think's coming out on top?
Bullet Club Gold, the Bang Bang Gang, Jay White, the Guns. I think they'll be victorious. I think they should be victorious. I think they're the hotter act right now. Honestly, I feel like the Acclaim and Daddy Ass have run their course. They were on fire and they're still good, but I just feel like give it to the heels right now. Now, that being said, I think this card is really good in ring wise, but we did not start off there yet. We will get there. So,
yeah, next match, you got Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, Mark Briscoe versus the House of Black. I think this is going to be a fun match.
yes.
I see Copeland, Kingston, and Briscoe winning.
I'm not going to disagree with you there. I'm going to go with the baby faces.
I've heard a lot of people speculate recently that they think Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews are set to go back to WWE. It's not outside of the realm of possibility. We've seen a lot happen. And that's not even why I think they're necessarily losing this match, but how do you not go with Kingston, Briscoe, and Copeland? Match following this, Hook versus Chris Jericho, FTW title.
This is a tough one because Jericho kind of got punked out by Hook the other night. I don't see why Jericho needs the FTW championship, though. But what are we setting up here? You know, Jericho still hasn't, he's kind of acting heelish, but he still hasn't, other than shoving his dad, which I didn't like this segment at all, by the way, just talking about Dynamite last week, where like, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it, but like Jericho basically shoves Taz down and Hook just kind of gets in his face. Like, someone knocked down your dad. You're not going to throw hands. You're not going to double leg him. You're not going to try to like hurt him. You're just going to get in his face and tell him he needs to leave the ring. I didn't like it, but I'll go with a shocker. I'll pick what I would consider the upset because I don't see why I would do it. I'll go with Jericho.
Wow. Our second disagreement, I see it's got to be Hook. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Jericho won it. Jericho is always my favorite. She's saying Hook is too cocky. All right. Well, we got a couple people picking for Jericho.
Yes.
A match I didn't even know was happening, but I love this matchup. Roderick Strong versus Kyle O'Reilly, AEW International Championship. It was bound to happen with the return, not quite getting together 100%. I'm surprised by this match.
Yeah, they put this together on Collision really last week. Strong had beat Rocky Romero, and then O'Reilly just came up to kind of, congratulate Strong, but then check on Rocky. And then the guys started beating up on Rocky. Kyle's like, what the hell? Roderick Strong's hit Kyle with one of those knees, laid him out, set up this match. Should be interesting. They have not done a lot to get Kyle O'Reilly hot right now. I feel like he's kind of forgotten about. But I like Kyle O'Reilly. But again, I just don't feel like they did a lot with him. So I'd like for him to win here, but my mind tells me Roderick Strong.
I'm right there with you. I would love to see Kyle O'Reilly take that championship, but I mean, it doesn't feel like he's been built up that way. So I got to agree with you.
Sorry, Jess. We're rooting for Kyle.
Yeah. We've got Julia Hart versus Willow Nightingale, AEW TBS Championship. To me, there's only one way this match can go.
I go Willow. Willow has that win over Mercedes, and Mercedes is supposed to meet the winner of this. And I think they want to do something with Willow Nightingale and Mercedes. I love Willow. I think she's got a great personality. The fans really get behind her. She has a lot of fun. And I think it just comes off the page on her. And I think it's her time to put some gold on her in AEW. So I'll go Willow Nightingale here.
100% right there with you. We'll see if we agree on this next match. Kazuchika Okada versus Pac, AEW Continental Championship.
I think we're going to agree on this. I like Pac. He always puts on hell of a matches. I'd like them to have his time. They're not making Okada lose anytime soon. He's coming in there. He's beating people up, and he's getting put over until we eventually do something with him for the world title, or even if he ends up wrestling Mox for the IWP title, but on AEW. Like, they're going to do something big like with Okada.
100%. I agree with you there. Next matchup, FTR, Young Bucks, ladder match for the World Tag Team Championship. The build up to this has gotten a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But a ladder match for the Tag Team Championship, it is hard not to, enjoy. AEW does have a ton of belts. Yeah. And that's one thing about an AEW pay-per-view is Tony likes to almost defend every belt on his roster, and sometimes like even an ROH belt if he could fit it in.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels a little much, but I'm going to tell you the TNA card is not too far off in that structure either.
So, I'm going to go with the Young Bucks here. I want FTR to win. But I think Jack Perry's coming back. I think that's why we're going to justify doing that video. This is to set up Jack Perry as a heel, and he's going to help the Bucks. That being said, still think that video was a waste of time. And I wish the FTR boys were winning, but I also don't even know what their future holds with cash and everything. He still's got legal problems and this. And so I feel like the Bucks will win. They'll tie up this series, and eventually we're going to end up doing like a best of 5 or best of 7 with these guys.
I could see that. You get the heel heat with the Bucks. You could bring back Jack Perry.
With the hell of a match.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Ladder matches are big for this company. Another big match for this company, Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa, AEW Women's Championship. I feel like we've said it with so many of the matches tonight that it's like, we hope one person wins, but it seems so obvious that the other is. And like, I would like Thunder Rosa to get a win. She is a great talent in AEW. I would argue underutilized at times, but how do you not have Toni Storm win? Yeah. And if anybody's going to take the title off her, it's got to be Mariah May. They've been building up that storyline so huge that feels like one way to end it.
Yeah. So, Jess, we're agreeing with you here. We're going to hopefully make you happy. We'll see what AEW does. But, yeah, I got to go Toni Storm here as well.
Co-main event, another match that was almost derailed by one of the promos going in, which this week I'm very glad they moved away from any of that. I thought Mox had a good way of building up the company without having to name anyone.
Oh, me too. Mox.
And, like, that's the kind of leadership you want. And it's not what we saw Ospreay do last week. And Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson, a little excitement has been taken off of this just because of that promo. I still think this is going to be a hell of a match. And Dave, I'm going to let you go first to let me know. You tell us who you think is winning.
I love me some Bryan Danielson. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of this era. But at the end of the day, he's just not winning those really big matches right now. And we feel like we're building Ospreay up. So I got to go Ospreay again. Now, one other thing about the Mox thing real quick here as we go back to you, Jokes. I just want to piggyback this. Jess loves Mox, by the way, as we know, we all do. What Mox did as opposed to what everybody else in the company did, and even Adam Copeland, who I enjoy Adam Copeland, but one thing Mox really did was he put the company over in a very subtle way, not going over the top, talking about the fighting spirit, and then also getting back to storylines and competition. So for me, Mox was a real MVP for this company and really showed me why he's special. But at the end of the day, as far as this match goes, I got to go Ospreay all day.
I'm right there with you. Will Ospreay with the win. It's going to be a great match. And what should be the best match of the night, Swerve Strickland, Samoa Joe, AEW World Championship. Heard a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
Some people think Joe is walking away with it. A lot of us think Swerve's time is now. Where are you in this?
I think
And what
it's
do you
Swerve.
think's gonna
I think they should have booked a singles match with Swerve beforehand already. He was so hot. I think the time is just do it now. Put the title on this guy. He is somebody that came over from the WWE and then NXT and everything he was doing there. And unfortunately for him, under that Vince regime, and although he could stand out, he's really excelled in the AEW system. He's really excelled at making his presence felt and known. Go back to when he was teaming up with Keith Lee and they were the tag team champions. Keith Lee came in from WWE as well. Keith really, despite the injuries, I feel like came in as the bigger star of the two at that time initially, in the sense, he had a win over Randy Orton at one point. Like, he had so much buzz, even back from the indie days, right? Keith, because of his size and his athleticism and everything he could do. But Swerve really started to outshine Keith Lee in those moments because of what he could do on the microphone, the stories he could tell, and then still the great matches he could have. And at the end of the day, Swerve has just been on a roll constantly since then. I say put the gold on him.
I am right there with you. If it doesn't happen here, it could happen at Double or Nothing, but I think it's going to happen here. And this is actually the second of two big pay-per-views this weekend. I say big only because I've seen the card for this. I don't know where public opinion is going to be on TNA Rebellion taking place. Oh, fuck, that's on Sunday as well. Huh. Well, that's what happens when you don't fully read your graphics before you put them up. Another huge card. Dave, we'll start with the pre-show because listen to this match. ABC of Ace Austin, Chris Bay, they are teaming up with Leon Slater to take on the Rascals and Myron Reed on the pre-show. That is a hell of a match to put on a pre-show to get people to buy it. As much as I enjoy ABC and I saw Leon Slater this past weekend on GCW, looked great. I've got to go with the Rascals and Myron Reed in this one.
Can't disagree on that. I was going to go Reed all day. So
you got Crazy Steve versus Laredo Kid for the TNA Digital Media Championship. One championship too many. Crazy Steve, great talent. Laredo Kid, great luchador. I'm picking Crazy Steve just because I feel like it'd be a bigger star to take it off of him.
I can't disagree with you. I just feel like the stories with Crazy Steve, from what I've seen.
Yes. Now we've got Spitfire, which I wish I could find the name. I believe it's Jody Threat, and I wish I knew the name of the other lady versus the Decay of Rosemary and Jessica Havoc. TNA Knockouts Championship. I got the Decay in this. I'm just a big Rosemary and Jessica Havoc fan.
I'll go a step further. I've been seeing a lot of these last night, these cryptic videos appearing on TNA where someone looks like they're possibly popping in.
Lights out?
What's that?
Does it say lights out in the video?
I don't remember. Why?
Because I found this cryptic video today that I was trying to share with you. I couldn't find a way to put it in here, but and on the site, when you go through the whole card, go to TNAWrestling.com, click on TNA Rebellion. It says lights out, who will show. It was the next segment, so let's go there.
It was the next segment, so that's my point. So I'm going to agree with you on Decay, because when you're doing those kind of type videos, that makes me think there's somebody kind of supernatural or someone about to appear. So I think they're going to come in after Decay celebrating, and whoever they are going to face off with them.
Ooh, do you have a guess? Who is showing up?
Where's Havoc been?
I assume she's wrestling. She's in the Decay match.
Okay. Oh wait. Ooh, who's that? Sue Young.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. I forgot about Su Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the TikTok live before this and I was trying to pull it up, trying to find a way to embed it, but I couldn't. And I'm glad you caught that. I was actually watching TNA on the tablet over here as I was setting that up. Now, Dave, this is a match between former friends. I didn't realize this. I haven't watched a ton of TNA, but everybody's favorite, Joe Hendry, is going up against one of my favorites, Rich Swann. I think this is going to be another good match on the pay-per-view. I got to agree with you. The lights out segment could, be the bridge from the Decay match to the main card. I don't see how Joe Hendry doesn't win. Everybody that's in the Discord, that's in the TikTok lives, is always talking about how they believe in Joe Hendry.
So you know what's funny about that? I'll agree with you, but I'm gonna go a step further. I actually just saw a thing on Instagram. A wrestling historian was putting some stuff up with Joe Hendry, and he said, "I have no idea why Joe Hendry is going viral on TikTok, but I'm here for it." So it's kind of funny that you're seeing a lot of Discord about that. So that is getting around. So if Henry's got that kind of momentum, then I'd say you got to go Joe Hendry.
Yeah, he's got the great entrance videos, all of that.
Yeah.
Next matchup, Full Metal Mayhem, Eric Young versus Frankie Kazarian. These two guys are TNA names from way back. I think this is going to be a hell of a match. I feel like I pick Eric Young to win, but it's a toss-up. It could be Kazarian. Either way, it's going to be a hard-hitting spectacle of a match.
Moose is the champ right now. I'll go Eric Young. I'll go Eric Young.
Okay. Because I believe they're in the same group.
Yes.
She's so tired of I Believe in Joe Hendry song, I'm guessing. I haven't seen it pop up a ton on TikTok, but I'll have to keep an eye out for it now.
No longer believe in Joe Hendry.
TNA Tag Team Championship. Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers are putting it up against Speedball Mountain, Speedball Mike Bailey, Trent Seven. Edwards and Myers are the champions. Do you see those titles changing?
No. I like Speedball. I like Trent Seven, but the other two are part of that group with Moose. They're more of a tag team. And I don't think TNA is going to put it on two people who are just great wrestlers. I feel like there needs to be more established team there.
All right, I got Speedball Mountain. So the first one we've disagreed about on this card so far. And next up, TNA X Division Championship. Mustafa Ali defending his title against Jake Something. Jake Something, huge hulking wrestler, almost like the prototype WWE 80s wrestler. But Mustafa Ali has been on such a run since breaking away from the WWE, got the X Division title here, and I see him retaining it.
Can't argue there. Got the momentum.
The match I think I might be most excited for on this card, if I haven't already said that. Josh Alexander versus Alexander Hammerstone. Last man standing. Been a great feud. I love this matchup. I feel like Hammerstone takes the win here.
I'm going to go with Alexander. All right. I think Hammerstone has been, he beat him up the last time, I believe. And he's been beating up other people and putting, like that wrestling headgear on them and kind of messing around. So I'll say Alexander gets a little revenge here.
All right. TNA Knockouts Championship. Jordan Grace versus Steph DeLander. I'm excited for this match. DeLander has had quite a run on the indies in GCW with Matt Cardona. They have brought that act to Impact, TNA Impact. I don't think Steph DeLander is going to get it done versus Jordan Grace, though. Steph DeLander is going to be a great opponent, but she's just going to come up a little short.
I don't think it's her time yet. I'm going to agree with you on this one.
Main event, TNA Heavyweight Championship. Moose versus Nick Nemeth. Love this matchup. I want Nemeth to win.
I like. I would not mind if Nemeth win. I'm going to go Moose though for now. I think Nemeth has to continue to chase him.
All right, that's what I was debating because I want Nemeth. I haven't quite made my pick because I can see Moose winning and continuing that chase. I'm going with my gut, though. I'm going to pick Nemeth just to be different.
Hope you're right.
And a comparison you could make that these guys are different, but yet circumstances in WWE recently have made their careers more similar than ever. We are coming back to the great videos that Dave terrorizes people with on TikTok. We are talking better career, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and this is something you almost have to divide into in-ring wrestling career and then management career in a way.
So I will say this. Just want to get some of these comments out here. We'll get to you guys in a second here. Yeah, who had the better career? You're right. Very similar in the sense. Both were on top. Both former world champions. Both worked together and created DX. And now Shawn is running NXT and head of creative there, and Hunter is head of creative of all the rest of WWE, basically, and probably oversees Shawn, although I'm sure they work together closely. It's Triple H. Shawn's the better in-ring worker because Shawn is one of the greatest in-ring workers of all time and can have the most amazing matches with just about anybody. But in my opinion, when you look at the overall success, it's hard to deny Triple H. He had that longevity of the multiple title reigns. He was part of Shawn's group, but then went on, to head that very group DX, and then goes on to be a part of the Authority, and then just has his own run as the Cerebral Assassin in the Game, and then he comes back as the Authority figure years later and is still winning world titles. And then, he creates NXT and breaks NXT up to another level. Triple H has done so much and is doing so much right now. But I mean, and again, at the end of the day, if you're going to ask me who the better wrestler is, it's Shawn. But if you ask me who the better, I'm going to go with Triple H. But
Dave, you look at enough analytics that I do, and I kind of view their careers as almost even when you look at it in the end. But if you think about like a video growth, you know how we have some videos that blow up out of nowhere and it's almost a straight line up. I almost feel like that was Shawn's career. He got so good so early, even with the issues he had, he was still one of the best. And Triple H made it to that level over time, both by the work he put in. You could argue the Stephanie McMahon relationship didn't hurt things. And even now, when you look at their management careers, obviously Triple H bigger overall because he's the one running WWE, but Shawn had that slow climb with coming in to help NXT and bring them up from NXT 2.0 to something worthy. So it's like in both categories, both men are almost even, but one just had a jump start on the other, and the other made up for it with hard work. So this one, it's very hard to pick, and I like how you put these up because these really do inspire debate between people. And one thing I think it's safe to say that, inspires no debate, Dave, is that this is arguably, next to The Man by Becky Lynch, one of the greatest new wrestling books to come out in a long time.
Hey, all you got young wrestling fans out there, listen, Old Black Bart has got a book. It's called Wrestle. Like that. It's got some dead good stories in there about some dead good wrestlers.
Read stories of Dusty Rhodes, the Von Erich, Scott Casey, Sergeant Slaughter, Roddy Piper, Mr. Fuji, Ron Bass, Bruiser Brody, Mike Davis, the Grappler, and many others.
And I guarantee you one thing, that it'll be the best dadgum read you've had in a long, long time.
Get your book today at Russellville.com or on Amazon. Russellville, it's where wrestling lives.
I put up these comments from Jess at the end of that video. And to answer Randy's question, are you guys watching TNA Rebellion or Dynasty? I put this up to the people on TikTok. I'm putting Dave on the spot right now. Dave, what are you watching?
I'm watching Dynasty. I know we've cooled off a little bit on the product recent weeks, everything going on, but there's a lot of good in-ring wrestling here. And when you're talking about Ospreay versus Danielson, you're talking about Swerve Strickland possibly finally getting his moment on a big stage, and you're talking about FTR versus the Bucks in a ladder match. Those are pretty big matches. Oh, and Okada versus Pac. I mean, yeah, I'm in.
I mean, if you're talking about the best in-ring action, you got to be talking about Wrestleville.
Read about the Northern Wrestling Federation in the book presented by Russellville.com, The Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 2. Hear the story of Roger Ruffin, the man who trained Carl Anderson, the Monster Abyss, Jordan Clearwater, Chris Harrison, Jillian Hall.
Plus 45 other short stories, including Jazz, Bobby Eaton, Kamala, Thunder Rosa, Mario Mancini, Scott Casey, PJ Black, Kerry Morton, Sal Renaro, Jeremiah Plunkett, Colby Carino, Bam Bam Malone, and many others.
Get your book today at Russellville.com. Russellville, it's where wrestling lives.
Lives.
There it is.